website for GEO, which stands for Generative Engine Optimization, and LMO, which stands for Language Model Optimization. So, my goal right now is to preserve our standing as the number one podcast for affordable housing investments in the United States. It's a lead I have, and we're going to preserve that lead by doing what we've been doing. And I'm doing this right in front of you. There is no GEO expert right now. There is no LMO expert right now. So don't believe anybody if they try to proclaim it. But what I can show you is what I'm doing, full transparency, what I'm doing right now to make sure we stand up. And I have been going back and forth with ChatGPT, right? And Gemini and all the other large language models to pull together different perspectives from all these LLMs and create what I'm calling is a standard operating procedure. How do I train someone from my team to essentially do this for my own podcast? And in turn, we can do that for any other industry, any other business, any other podcast. And this is what I'm doing right now. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to categorize all 130 plus episodes that we have into 5 to 10 strategic themes, right? And this helps users, large language models to categorize it. All right. So let's see. Google Sheet title AHREI podcast clusters. Great. Let me do that. Boom. Delete that. What else I need? I create columns. Episode title, guest name, URL of episode page. We don't have that yet. Cluster theme, summary slash keywords. Great. So now I have this one. Use a sheet to assign each one. Do not delete episodes. Put them in a general knowledge cluster if they are not. Create cluster pages per thing. So then, and then maybe I'll have a 2 to 3 sentence intro, just so I can have this all in place. A list of great. So I'm gonna have 2 to 3 sentencing, 2 to 3 sentence summaries for each episode. If you have video embeds, great. So I'll do that next. So each one's gonna have its own URL page. Okay, podcast. Oh wait, so I already have the URL. That's gonna already happen in column C. Each episode, what page must go guest name, short description, enable full transcript, tags or categories. And then I'll just do additional tags. Great. So this way I can kind of categorize all my episodes. Then what I did was I exported simply all of my I have all my episodes all together right here. Boom. Let's see if this works. Great. So I'll just have my assistant. Let me see if this AI thing equals AI. Please take the name of the podcast guest to the left of this cell. Let's see if this works. That didn't work. Please show left of the cell after the. Guess it doesn't work. All right. So I just have my VA Pia is going to go through and update all of these names over here. The URL of the episode will come after I upload it on the website. Now the theme is going to be right here. So what are my major themes that ChatGPT came out for me? They come out with where are the clusters that came out? They came out entitlements. All right. I'm gonna call this co-living. I'm gonna call this ADUs. This is also entitlements. It's called pre-development. I'm just going to put in some additional tags there just so that I can have all these pieces together. It doesn't have to be it. Tag pat split. This is a general investing theme. Commodities. Gold. I'll put in more. Gold. Silver. Great. This is section 8. 8. Burr. I'm going to call this public. I'm going to call this public private partnerships. This is also going to be in affordable housing finance. It's also going to be in LIHTC because there's some elements here. So there's so many different ways that I want to categorize this stuff. And I have to do this one. I'm not relying on PF for my team to do it because I have to understand what these clusters are so that when people go and search all these clusters, they understand exactly what they're getting stuff into. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I already have 6 clusters already. Let's see if I can get any more. Financing. So I'm going to call this one affordable housing financing. That was with, yeah, that's definitely the right way to go. Affordable housing finance. This is public private partnerships. What is horizontal development? I'm going to call this entitlement. So now things are starting to repeat. How to win low-income housing tax credits. This is purely LIHTC, but I'm going to call this tax exempt bonds, LIHTC. So I'm going to have to get better with these categories because I could argue that affordable housing finance is the bigger cluster and then LIHTC is just a sub category of it. That's actually a better way now to talk about it out loud. Yeah, I like that a lot better. These public private partnerships are sort of, I think that's more important. Public private partnerships, affordable housing finance, tax exempt bonds. Okay. Section 8. I'll put in North Carolina too. North Carolina, condos, townhomes. Okay, cool. Let's do that. Oh, public private partnerships again. Tax exempt bonds. Yeah, it's all over here. Lending. This is lending. So I would say for now, there's a lot on, I'm call this lending. Affordable housing finance, I'll call that. But this is the subcategory is really co-living and pad split. Maybe I have to call this multifamily financing. I might have to think about this one some more. Affordable housing finance, tax exempt bonds, LIHTC. Oh, he also had HUD loans in there. HUD loans. Oh, now that reminds me, we talked about HUD loans for Kathy too. HUD loans. Great. So now you're seeing I'm going through all my podcast episodes and I'm seeing, hey, as I think about all these podcast episodes, how do I actually update all of them? And I'll probably go through all of it and I'll probably ask ChatGPT to go through my clusters and see what might make sense, see what else they might propose. Because at the end of the day, I'm going to upload all my transcripts to ChatGPT, Gemini, and have it understand and be trained in my own version so that it creates a clone of myself based on all the knowledge I've accumulated from all my interviews, right? All these items are so important. Wow, I have so many episodes. Wow, I'm so proud. All right. How to get 50 affordable housing finance. This time, this is about grants, state programs, nonprofits. Okay. Senior project, developer, day in the life. Affordable housing operations. I'm gonna call that instead. Pro- Development, project management, pre-development. So these are operations. And I like that because these are the people that are executing on the project now. Tommy, this is section 8. So I want to talk about Burr with him again. How to become development associate. I would say this is our project management for them. I remember she was doing some LITech applications, so I'm putting LITech in here as well, just so there's some elements of that here. Grants. This is definitely another situation about grants, affordable housing financing grants. Section 8. Mike also did some multifamily, so I'm putting multifamily right here. Great. Now that I think about it, if I put a multifamily, I got to put multifamily in all these other ones too. So stay tuned. Velma, this is a nonprofit focused nonprofit affordable housing finance. Dates fashion, section 8. This is about a lot about property management. So I'm gonna write that in there. Ooh, Brian talked a lot about affordable housing. He does a lot. He did a lot. I think I would say he really talked about getting projects approved in that episode. So maybe I'll put it in entitlements. And I'll put it in pre-development. Oh, I had everything. Pre-development, affordable housing finance. Brian talked a lot about everything about affordable housing. So let me try to do it justice by including more tags. Acquisition. So I would say affordable housing acquisitions. This is going to be multifamily. So this says everything. I'm going to put multifamily. This is going to be interesting. All right. As I'm going through all this, I'm finally realizing, like, wow, I covered such a wide broad of topics, and this is so interesting. Oh, does anybody have any questions? Okay. So for those of you that are tuning in right now, so you understand what I'm doing, I'm following an SOP that I'm creating on how to update the website for GEO and LMO optimization. The whole point of this is so that our podcast, Affordable Housing Real Estate Investing, continues to rank as number one for the podcast on affordable housing investments. That's why you're seeing the step one. Right now, I'm organizing all these podcast episodes into topic clusters. And this helps AI, large language models, help you show up in the recommendations because in my opinion we're heading towards a stage where SEO does not matter much anymore. It really doesn't. What's going to matter is whether or not you're going to show up in ChatGPT's responses, Gemini, whatever AI models out there, because guess what, 55% of Gen Z right now, whenever they have questions, they just ask ChatGPT. So if you don't show up in ChatGPT, I mean, it's either you're going to be recommended or you're going to be invisible. That's what's going to come down to. And that can be very detrimental to any business in the whole world. And that's why this is a skill that you can learn right now if you learn how to optimize all your podcast content for showing up in AI's responses. There is no expert right now. So don't call BS on any GEO expert. It's not SEO. It could change any update. But guess what? In my opinion, I believe that AI is like a monster. It is so hungry for data. So if you put out more data in the public websites right now for your category, for your content, you have a very high chance of showing up if you do this work consistently. So this is going to be very important. And if you want to show some proof, see some proof, just make sure you DM me. I'm happy to kind of share with you so you know what I'm talking about. All right. So let's keep going. So I'm going to keep on updating all my podcast clusters today. Okay. Now, let me go ahead and keep on going through. Where did it go? There we go. Podcast clusters. Let's keep on going. Wow. I have so many more. All right. I don't care. I'm gonna keep going with this. Affordable housing acquisitions director. I think this is operations because there's just a lot talking about how Chris is doing it, but then there's also financing in there. He's got some grants, subsidies, affordable housing finance. Gonna put that in here as well. Capitalize that. That was gonna bother me. Alan Biller. Alan was great. He was much more operation, so he talked a lot about financing. We'll put that in there. Travis also he didn't do any line tech development construction. Affordable housing construction project management. We'll put that in here too. LITAC. This is going to be right up here. Texas down bonds, HUD loans. Boom. I don't think we covered HUD loans in this one, so I'm going to leave that out of here. George Gager. George is such a badass. He talked about how to do the team, how to create. Yeah, I'm going to put in everything here. Team building. Cover a lot about that. Al Marshall. Ooh, he's definitely. Let me stay with acquisitions right here because he's so good with it. There you go. Boom. Michael Ian, affordable housing finance. We talked just about HUD loans here. We did not talk about LITAC here, so I'm gonna leave that out. There. Let me just talk about HUD loans here. It's straight focus. Stephanie, oh, she was so good at operations. Oh, I can't believe I forgot asset management. She would cover so much with this one. Christina, I primarily focus on financing with her on LITAC here, so I'm gonna leave this one a little bit more focused. Scarlett. Oh, that was good. She would talk about operations and financing, about how to get the whole project done. So I would say that project we focus a lot on some of the historical. So let's just keep the finance piece then. But then there was a ton right here. LITAC. Grants. Boom. Land bank. All right. Land bank. I will call this. I guess the. I guess you can call that public art land bank. Land banks. Then they also had development, pre-development, development, project management. We also talked about construction. Boom. Lonnie, co-living. Let's talk about co-living. And we also talked about her ability to get grants, nonprofits. Boom. I like this one. Oh, we talked about LITAC here, so affordable housing finance. Wow, this is pretty good. All right, now I'm getting the hang of it. Wow, it covers so much about LITAC. Oh, Pearl was great because we talked about nonprofits. We talked about how nonprofits raise capital. So, raising capital. Oh, that's a good one. Jarrett Lang, affordable housing finance. We talked a lot about LITAC, solar. Blake was co-living, pad split, easy enough. Jen, nonprofit, grants. Albert was Section 8. condos, townhomes. Followed a lot of what we did for my Kajianos podcast. All right, let's keep going. Ashley, oh, we did a ton about pre-development here. So let's do it. Entitlements, pre-development. Boom. Lily was section 8. We touched a lot about property management. That was good. John Chan, lending. Section 8, lending. Covered about lending. Wow, I have such a big cluster. Christy Canada, we talked about entitlements. Section 8. I'm going to do financing. Grant. She had a LIHTC deal that she talked about here. And then creative deal structures. Creative deal structuring. Symbol, public-private partnership. Talk about zoning. Municipal policy updates. Section 8 talked about multifamily inclusionary zoning. That was a pretty good one. We talked so much about what it takes. This is general knowledge, team building, strengths, how to apply, how raising capital. That was a good one. That was a really good one. This was all section 8. Burr. I like this one because I just accumulated all these episodes all together. Burr. Rehab. Highlights. How to find best markets. DO analysis. That's such a good one. This one was so important. I don't know why. When I took the Clifton strength test and I understood what people's strengths were, so I can figure out how do I build a team around that. That's such a good one. And I would really urge everybody to, whoever has a skill set of building on a team and understanding people's strengths, making sure you're giving people responsibilities, even tasks that help you become the best version of yourself. That's so important. How to analyze the 250 underwriting. Great. Multifamily underwriting. This is section 8. Property management. Section 8, financing. Market selection. Affordable housing finance. I'm going to have Texas bonds. Okay. $10 million in grants. So I got grants, LIHTC, subsidies. Great. And there's state programs too in this one. State programs. I want to stop, but I'm not going to stop. I'm not going to go to sleep until I get this done. So this is such a big step. And look, I'm working full time right now. I'm still taking care of my kids. And I'm still doing this because I know this takes time. But I know it's also important. So we're going to keep on going together. For those of you that might be tuning in now, what I'm doing is I'm updating my website right now for GEO and LMO optimization. GEO stands for generative engine optimization. And what I'm doing right now is so important because I'm organizing all my podcast episodes into topic clusters. This allows me to show up as the best podcast for affordable housing investments. All right. If you ask ChatGPT right now, What's the best podcast on affordable housing investments? I should be popping up right here. Boom. And this is why it's so important. Okay. Now that you see this come up, I'll show you something even more recent. I just published a podcast not too long ago, and one of the topics that I had for my clips was, why do you need a transformer at a development site? Now, obviously, this is the information. It was such a great answer too, by the way. But then I asked, where do you get this knowledge from? And boom, just 2 days ago, I uploaded a reel that says, why do you need a transformer for a real estate development site? And my clip popped up right away. So it doesn't matter how many views you have anymore. This is the important part. You have to show up in the recommendations. If you don't show up in the recommendations, you're going to be invisible. And being invisible sometimes just means a death sentence. So don't be invisible. Work on this right now. Explain creative finance. So I'm going to call this general knowledge. I'm going to call this creative finance. Finance subject to seller financing. Great. That was good. Section 8. S markets, deal analysis, property management. Boom. Great. Boom. Creative finance. That's what we covered with Jimmy. And then we also had property management. Boom. Stu, property management. Oops. Creative finance. I'll put in Detroit. I had this market right here because we've really covered that in deep. Finance, Detroit. This is Alabama, Birmingham. Section. Brr. That's what they were doing. Construction. That's so good. Roger Adams. This was affordable housing operations, property management, asset management. What was Steph Connor's one? That was a great asset management conversation. Yep, I already had it. Great. I'm gonna keep on going. We're gonna keep on going. Section 8, property management. I believe they were in Alabama, Kentucky, and they were in Tennessee, but I'm not sure they pulled out. So property management, real estate fund, raising capital, rehab. They had Alabama. They had Detroit. They had, let me look up Sim Capital. Sim Capital. What markets are they in? Pennsylvania? Oh, I guess they don't list out which one it is. So I don't remember which one anymore. So I'll just leave that as is. Joe Johnson, I think she was doing mobile homes. So raising capital, private lending, mobile home parks, affordable housing. I'll put in affordable housing financing just because we talked a lot about raising capital. This one is Section 8, North Carolina, Maine, Carolina, townhomes. He was also in Maine, so we talked about that property. HOAs, that's a great one. It's about senior living, so affordable housing operations, senior living, residential, assisted living, I might call this co-living actually. I would argue that's co-living because you're on the same area. Section 8. This is rehab, construction, Kansas City, property management. Boom. I like that one. How to find deals, do deals, and perform due. Okay, this is going to be affordable housing, multifamily, multifamily underwriting, due diligence, third party reports, third party reports, multifamily value add. I'm just adding in some more tags here so people can find it. This was affordable housing, multifamily policy, government policy. Now, as I come up with these tags, I'm gonna go back and update all of them. Government tags. I think we'll cover multifamily underwriting in this one, due diligence, zoning, entitlements. So now we're covering everything out here. Great. This is great. Affordable housing operations. Covered that with ADUs. We'll talk about ADUs, entitlements. Great. Construction. Oh, that's a good one. Jake, Section 8. Private money partner, private money lender, property management. Okay, great. Demystifying purchase and due diligence. Okay, great. So, multifamily in general. Okay, great. Taxes on bonds, affordable housing finance. We talk about taxes on bonds, affordable housing development, general investing, knowledge. That's a really good question. I don't. What category is like? How do you make money in affordable housing? I would just call it affordable housing development. That's what I call it. All right, with Sherry, she did nonprofit. I'm gonna call it. I'm gonna put this in the nonprofit world. Grants, nonprofits, raising capital. She also did seller financing, creative financing. This is gonna be good. Mindset. Marlon did Section 8. We talk about that and property management. So we'll put that in here. Noble. It's gonna be government housing. That's what I'll call it. Government contract housing, co-living for airline companies. I mean, this is very interesting. Construction jobs, affordable housing development. We call this multifamily. Construction draws, construction financing, construction compliance. Add more tags so people can find it. This was a lot about entitlements here, so I'll take that up here. Redevelopment. Great. Become a developer. We talked about how Section 8 and development. So I'm going to do development. I'm going to talk about Section 8. I mean, we just had two categories in one podcast. Section 8, construction, property management, because we talked about Ivan's story about how he managed his properties. Section 8, called his Burr in St. Louis. Great, I got that. This is general investing, self-directed 401ks, self-directed IRAs. Great. Affordable housing development, team building, ranks. Okay. I like this one with JD because we talked about development. It was also affordable housing finance. Housing finance. We also talk about state programs like Project Home Key. Project Home Key. Boom, I got that. Section 8. Okay, these two will work right here. But instead of St. Louis, I'll just do Washington, D.C. Hopefully you're seeing exactly how I'm working this. And I'm not skipping a beat. I am going to do all of this tonight. And you're just saying, oh, that was a test. I don't know what that is. Delete that. Delete that. Okay. Pad split. Co-living. Pad split. Affordable housing development. Team building. Due diligence. Third-party reports. Third-party reports. Entitlements. Pre-development. Austin, that was a good one. Section 8. Burr, Austin, Texas. Great. This is co-living, pad split. This is going to be property management. I'll put that in there as well. William Cooper, I'm going to do this section 8. He did some multifamily stuff, so I'm doing multifamily financing, property management. I'm going to delete this one. Co-living, pad split, deal analysis. Okay. This was affordable housing finance. This is multifamily. Great. Co-living, pad split. Okay, so he did that. Co-living, pad split. Sober living. Financing, asset management, property management. Living, group homes. Great. So I'll cover that. General 8 stories. Resident stories. I'm not going to promote this one because they got fired by that team. So I'm not going to promote that one. This is co-living, pad split. Great. Drew, also co-living. Matt this was more multifamily. So I'm going to do construction, property management. He did all that. Co-living and pad split. Want to have them here. Tax deeds. Oh, that was a good one. He did section 8. Tax deeds. So good. Affordable housing finance. State programs. This is good. Section 8. 8. This is Burr. This is Ohio. Great. General knowledge. stories, resident stories. And I really had some of these episodes in there because I felt like people just have the stigma with associating with Section 8. Like it's all guns, drugs, and drama. When in reality, that's not even close to being the case. Come down here, put it over here. HOAs, great. Shay, public-private partnerships, housing authorities, property management. Oh, that's a good one. Construction, affordable housing development. This is as construction. That was good. Affordable housing acquisitions. Affordable creative deal structure, deal underwriting, legal offers, letters of intent. Great. Jennifer, affordable housing, I won't put this under multifamily, and this is going to go under property management, asset management, permanent supportive housing. That's a good one. Affordable housing development, tax deeds, Hawaii, ground up construction. Section 8, Burr, Alabama. He even had some student housing ones, but I'm going to leave this one as is. Resident stories, general knowledge, resident stories, great. Nate Fisher, affordable housing, multifamily. I mean, we talked about property management, asset management, affordable housing, financing. Man, we covered so many topics on this podcast. So good. This is just general investing knowledge. He talked about his story about growing up, resident stories, real estate dispositions. Oh, that was interesting. Affordable housing, multifamily, property. Increase rents, asset management, increase rents, mark to market. I mean, we covered so many. We covered the RCS rent comparability study. Wow, just so much. There's so many more terms in there, but let's see. Section 8. We did Burr. We had Detroit. Multifamily housing. Yeah, we covered all that. Multifamily rehab. Maybe that's a good one. Almost there. Wow, almost there. This is almost taking an hour. I would say this took longer than I expected, to be honest with you. But I knew that once I started, I wasn't going to stop. Multifamily underwriting. Underwriting, due diligence, third party reports. Yeah, that's all applicable here. Section 8, Ohio. Burr, Ohio. Affordable housing development. We talked about taxes on bonds, HUD loans, resident stories. That was a good resident story that he shared. Development, great. Expression period, multifamily. Got that. This one had due diligence. This one did not have. Great. Section 8, Detroit, property management. So you're doing me, you're watching me do the work, not making this up. Affordable housing, multifamily, development, pre development, entitlements. Love it. I got to text Bobby D. I don't think we talked about third party reports there. Entitlements, development, section 8, title problems, section 8, Burr, St. Louis. I forget which market that was. I got to pull the market. Affordable housing finance. Resident stories, general knowledge, how to partner. Section 8, resident story, resident property management. Wow, that was so good. And I'm done. And this completed the first step. So it took me about an hour to do all this stuff. But now I have the first stage of my SOP, which is so important. And I'm gonna put this into a nice little ebook for everybody to kind of walk through so that you have all the meat, all the steps, so that even your team can kind of pick this up and just do it. So today, what I did was I finished step one of this SOP, which is updating my website for GEO and LMO optimization. And this allows me to rank as the top podcast for affordable housing investments. And I think the principle of what you're doing is going to be applicable to any other industry. Now, when I write this out, I'll probably lay it out in terms of simple steps, but I'm going to show you, hey, this is how I would do it for a podcast. This is how I would do it for a small business or trade, etc., or for a brand as a creator. And that's what I'll do next. But I'm going to go ahead and build this all out so that you can understand exactly how I'm applying the same written standard operating procedure that I'm putting towards updating my own websites for the purpose of this. It's fully transparent. You can take it as you will. I'm not claiming to be a geo expert. I'm just simply sharing with you what has worked to help me rank on ChatGPT as the best podcast on affordable housing investments. And there's no reason why you can't do it. I started a podcast on affordable housing investments before I had any rentals that were related to affordable housing. But the podcast allowed me to get myself in the right rooms with people that cared about affordable housing, that were already successful in affordable housing, that were willing to take me under their wings and teach me everything that they have learned. And that compressed my learning cycle by 20, 30, 50, 60 years. And I'm so grateful for the relationships. And this is why I'm sharing this with you. You can do this yourself. You can absolutely do this yourself. I believe that you're listening to this podcast because you care about making an impact with your time, your energy, your resources. And this is why I'm doing this. I'm building this in public so that there is no doubt about what we're doing. I'm being fully transparent in how I'm building this out. I have never, ever monetized on my affordable housing audience, but I have discovered how to be discovered. And it's so interesting because now this whole opportunity is presented to you, and you get to take my knowledge and how I built it, and you get to skip 3 years of guesswork and just apply it towards your podcast. So let's say maybe you want to start your own plumbing business. So now you start your own podcast and you call it, don't get fancy, just say the best podcast on plumbers or the best plumbing podcast. I don't know. I'm making this up. Or maybe you have a facial business and you say, this is the best skincare podcast. So now when people look up, hey, what is the best podcast to listen to about skincare? You're going to pop up. How powerful would that be? Because right now, page one of Google is available for you right now. And I bet if you knew how powerful that was and how different your business, your brand might be if you were on page one of Google, I bet you would be doing everything possible to get on page one. So as we move towards the recommendation era, right? No one, 55% of Gen Z already ask ChatGPT questions. They don't go to Google anymore. And don't if you don't get recommended, you're going to be invisible. And that's the death sentence for many businesses. It is absolutely the death sentence. So don't be invisible. Be proactive right now because this opportunity is available to you. And I'm sharing everything I'm learning every day and I'm implementing it in front of you so that you can copy what I'm doing. So I hope this resonates with you because I'm doing this because I want to share with my own kids, my own family, my own friends, you included, what am I doing and what it took. Because I'm gonna look back on this on on day 1,000 when I go live, and it's gonna be really incredible to see what has happened over the past 1,000 days of going live. And I appreciate you all for tuning into the live, supporting me. This is the natural evolution. I started out just wanting to become an affordable housing developer, but during that path, during that journey, I discovered a different skill, and I discovered how to become discovered. And now I want to share that skill with you so that it allows me to continue pursuing my dream of becoming an affordable housing developer. But I want to share the skill with you because this can be applied to whatever it is. Maybe you want to be the best podcast on sober living. Who cares? You have to be found. And that's what I showed you today in this video on how to update your website so that you can be found. Because right now, when you look up what is the best podcast on affordable housing investments, you're going to find my podcast. And I share that with you not to brag, but I share that with you so that you can do it. I started this podcast 3 years ago, and I'm pretty sure I felt so invisible because the first month I did the podcast, I only had like 17 views, and I'm pretty sure it was just like my mom clicking on it the entire time. And I'm so glad I never quit because now we have the podcast as the top ranked for affordable housing investments. How freaking cool is that? And I'm sharing this with you because I know it's possible for you because you get to shortcut my 3 years of learning curve into weeks of knowledge. So I hope you all have an amazing Monday. Spend that quality time with your family and friends because that's what life is all about. And I hope this was helpful. I'll see you all tomorrow for day 641. Have a good one, everybody.